Creepozoids is a 1987 sci-fi horror film from director David DeCoteau. The movie opens in a lab? I mean, it's gotta be a lab. She's wearing a lab coat and there's a fish tank. A scientist is doing science when she hears something at the door. Is that supposed to be scratching at the door or someone playing with styrofoam? It's probably that pesky land shark. She finally opens the door and Stella! In the far future of 1998, World War III happened. The survivors have banded together and roam the wasteland looking for shelter and supplies. Wow, the remains of the apocalypse looks a lot like downtown LA. A group of survivors are wandering around. This is already more exciting than Fear the Walking Dead. They have to fight off mutants, deal with hazards like acid rain, and climb over small obstacles. They find some sort of abandoned building and decide to check it out. Some stock footage tells them acid rain is on the way, so they break into the building. I think I had those plastic Uzis in grade school. They look around and find the inhabitants.
Gophers, mice,
rats, I can smell them.
Do rats smell different than gophers? The group separates to investigate the facility. They don't find any people, but they do find a boom mic. Next they find the inevitable sexy time cots. But not before the shower scene. Okay, my mistake. The shower scene's on hold for now. Wormy guy finds the lab from earlier. And liquid hasn't evaporated yet? He finds a computer lab and the head of Charles Bronson. The group hears him scream and investigates. I like that he just kicks the head.
shit.
They go to the kitchen to make something to eat. This place is run down, dirty, and covered in cobwebs. How is this food sitting out in the open not moldy? Beyond that, why haven't the rats eaten it? After dinner, Blanca goes back to the room, and okay, now it's shower sexy time. Wormy guy returns to the computer room. He's searching the computer files for information about the facility. Aha! This place was an aspartame factory. The stock footage clouds wakes up Jesse, so he goes back to try and hack the computer again. He finds a floppy disk of personal logs. The logs talk about how the building was a bioengineering lab after the war. He hears what sounds like a woman crying under the desk, so he checks it out. Looks like a ventilation shaft. The logs keep going until... Why would he write this down? I covered my tracks like a pro. Except for leaving this entry in an unencrypted file for anyone to find. Jesse's trying to squeeze through the shaft. Or he could just stand up. He of course stumbles into some monster poop. He gets out of the vent and finds a giant room full of cocoons. After that, he meets the monster from earlier.
Who wants free hugs?
The next day, Kate's cooking breakfast. Bob really likes my cooking. Jake goes to get the rest of the group.
Reveille, let's shag it.
Way ahead of you, sir. He goes to find Jesse, who is okay. That morning at breakfast, a scene that totally isn't ripping off Alien. Jesse begins to mutate. Oh God, I hope it isn't my cooking! Kate searches the computer. She surmises that the building was meant to keep something contained. They find the air vent. Jake insists on going solo.
I gotta do it, Jake.
No, I'm the one with the experience.
He's got experience crawling in air ducts? Was he a tin knocker before the war? He's crawling around and they really like to focus on this stuff, don't they? You'd think if a monster ate a person, they'd leave a bigger pile behind. Jake finds the cocoon room. Discount Craig Sheffer goes after him. Blanca goes to find some weapons and runs into a prop from another film. Just then, the monster jumps out at her. Wait, where'd it go? Butch finds Jake unconscious. Kate seems to be acting by looking surprised every so often. Jake thinks the monster wants to do something besides kill them. The power goes out, so... really?
If Butch gets the lights on, blast the first thing you see.
Butch goes to the generator room to, turn the power back on. He's attacked by... a stuffed rat! Jake saves him and shoots the rat. They retreat to their personal quarters to think of a plan. Blanca then asks this age-old question.
If Jesse was so smart, how come he's dead?
Jake and Butch head back to the computer room. The monster tries to take out Jake. See? Again, he's just trying to get hugs. Instead of shooting it, Butch decides to run into it. And Jake does the same thing. These guys suck at this. The monster sprays the computer and blows it up. Then it takes Butch back to its lair/love shack. Another shower scene? Blanca's attacked by a stuffed rat, and Kate stands around screaming. The rat then does this. Kate finally helps. Boy, I wonder if he's hiding behind this one piece of blanket. Of course! It bites Kate and Blanca stomps it to death. Jake gets back and, maybe do something to stop the bleeding? The monster throws Butch down and spray paints him. Jake and Blanca go to kill the beast. They find the lab and rescue Butch. Except he's mutating. The monster was hiding in the corner the whole time. Oh, you pesky creepozoid. Blanca goes to check on Kate, who's been turned into a deadite. She beats her up and drops a shelf on her. Blanca finds Jake, and the monster finds her. Thought it didn't want to kill them. Jake escapes by them looping this vent footage over and over. He hides out in the warehouse. As luck, plot convenience would have it, he finds some syringes he can use against the monster. He finds Jake and flails him around for a while, before chucking him across the room. I don't think H.R. Giger approved of this. Jake then uses the syringe against the monster. He's kind of overselling it. Jake thinks it's dead, but uh-oh! Monster baby! So who impregnated it? He searches the warehouse. How does a newborn baby mutant outsmart a trained soldier? The baby bites his neck and... Jake corners the baby and chokes it with its own umbilical cord. He goes to leave the building and... Oh no! The rats! Okay, wrong movie. What really happens is this. The movie was filmed in downtown LA and in a studio in Marina del Rey, California, for a rumored $75,000. While growing up, director David DeCoteau lived 2 blocks away from Charles Band's Empire Pictures building. He used to walk past it and dream of one day being able to work for them. He got a start in the industry working as a production assistant for Roger Corman's New World Pictures. He moved on to directing adult films under the pseudonyms David Doe and David McCabe. In 1986, his dreams came true when he directed his first film with Empire Pictures, Dream Maniac. DeCoteau had a few ideas for his next film. At the time, Aliens was huge, and post-apocalyptic films were incredibly popular. So he pitched a post-apocalyptic alien film called Mutant Spawn 2000. His other idea was to make a Ghoulies knockoff called Creepozoids. DeCoteau was a fan of the band Midnight Star. They had a song called Freakazoid, and he modified it to Creepozoids. Band liked the idea of Mutant Spawn 2000 and the name from Creepozoids, so he combined the two. DeCoteau worked with actress Linnea Quigley on a short film a few years earlier. He told her one day he was going to direct, and she told him she'd be happy to work with him. He wanted to hire her for Dream Maniac, but she was busy at the time shooting a little film called Return of the Living Dead. After that she was available, and he hired her for Creepozoids. For the role of Blanca, he hired actress Kim McKamey, who he worked with on Dream Maniac. The role of Blanca called for nudity, and Kim wasn't comfortable with it. She switched roles with Linnea Quigley, who, if you saw Return of the Living Dead, had no problem with nudity. So now Quigley was Blanca, and McKamey was Kate. Years later, McKamey changed her name and started working in the adult film industry as Ashlyn Gear. While continuing to work in adult films, she also appeared in The X-Files, Millennium, and had a starring role in Space Above and Beyond. She even had roles in major movies like The One and Willard. The movie took 15 days to shoot. DeCoteau is terrified of rats, so he put in the mutant ones in the film. Quigley was so small they had to buy kid-sized boots for her feet. The animatronic puppet at the end, someone on set named Baby Hector. They shot almost the entire film in this small set, so they had to be creative. They had one room where they filmed the majority of the movie. They just kept redressing it as different locations. The original ending of the film was just Jake leaving. One of the producers suggested having the baby not actually dead, so they reused an alternate take of the baby waking up and freeze-framed it for the end. Films need to be 72 minutes long to qualify as a feature for HBO. They stretched the film out as much as they could by reusing shots and slowing down the end credits. The final time for the film was 72 minutes, 11 seconds. One day, DeCoteau was showing the dailies to investors and Charles Band. Band loved the look of the film so much, he signed DeCoteau to a 10-picture deal. DeCoteau was expecting Creepozoids to get a direct-to-video release, but Band loved it so much, he had a few prints made, and they played it in theaters as a double feature with Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. Creepozoids was originally released under Empire Pictures, but when they went out of business, Band was sure to bring DeCoteau over to Full Moon Entertainment. DeCoteau went on to direct more films for Full Moon than any other director, nearly 30. He also directed Puppet Master 3, which is considered by many to be one of their best. This year it's the 30th anniversary of Creepozoids. I was first drawn to the movie because how could you not love this cover? It's a silly, entertaining alien knockoff, which is all I wanted. Creepozoids just got a Blu-ray release, and I couldn't be happier. A post-apocalyptic alien knockoff from Empire Pictures, remastered and released under the Full Moon banner? What more could a B-movie lover ask for?
If Jesse was so smart, how come he's dead?